Right, let's get on with this then. I've been gaming on PC since April 2019, so I'm fairly new to using a mouse and keyboard. I got my PC to play Fortnite, Rainbow Six Siege and a bit of COD, but I've never played CSGO. I've just finished my first month in Valorant, and it's time to see how much I've improved, and if Valorant is worth your time if you haven't played CSGO like me. So first, let's look at the skill level I started at. In my first game, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, in the game or recording, as I didn't even press the record button until around 7. I played around a bit with my settings, chosen what I thought was a low sensitivity, more on that later, and removed the outer crosshairs, as I'd heard they were pretty pointless. I knew basic stuff like you shouldn't move while shooting, and that crosshair placement was important, but I hadn't played around with any of the agents in the practice mode or anything like that. I was playing Brimstone, as I was the last person on my team to pick, and I just couldn't work out how to deploy his smokes. One thing you learn very quickly is that your crosshair means absolutely nothing after the first 3 shots, and if you're moving, just forget about shooting. Also, that if you aren't walking, you are very loud, so I changed my settings to walk by default. I'm still not sure if this is that common, but it works for me. I also had my sprint key bound to Q, as that's how I had it in Siege to help with leaning, but I quickly changed it back to Shift as you can't bunny hop with it on Q. When I choose my keybinds, I like to think about what actions I have to do whilst having full control of my movement. I then try to put them on my thumb, little finger or mouse. That's one thing I've learned in my year on PC. Don't be afraid to mix up your keybinds to find the best combination for you. There's so much more customization compared to controller, and everyone finds different keys more comfortable to use than others. So don't just copy your favourite streamer or pro player, as their binds probably won't be the best for you. Anyway, back to Valorant. As you can see, I have no idea about recoil control, how to move around the map. I'm way too aggressive, my crosshair placement is poor, I don't use my abilities well, the list goes on. I played 5 games that first day, somehow winning them all, but going negative in all but one, where I somehow managed to get 21 to 9. I continued to play over the first week, and played 21 games in total. Most I went negative, and I was pretty much dying every round. Well, actually I calculated it, and it was 75% of rounds, but you know, close enough. I tried sticking to support roles like Cypher and Sage, so at least I could help my team, even if I wasn't getting kills, and as the healer you do have to play more conservatively. Now, let's look at my best game of the week so we can see my improvements over the month. First of all, why wouldn't I buy all my utility and then hardly use it? To be fair here, it's good trigger discipline, although my crosshair placement ranges from about meh to terrible. Gotta get them knees. I take it back, great use of utility. Quite a lot of my early gameplay consisted of long risky flanks, as if they come off they give easy kills. Now people know the game better, you're just gonna get killed if you try it. This fight shows just how clueless everyone was at this point. What a flick. This is still my best clip of using the sheriff. And now I'm just running through the middle of the map with my knife out, because you know, why not? Towards the end of the week, I saw a video where someone was talking about their aim sensitivity, and explaining how at 800 DPI and a 0.4 in-game sensitivity, that theirs was pretty high. Mine was at 0.8 at 800 DPI, no wonder I was finding it so hard to hit people. I then jumped into the practice area and settled on 0.4 at 800 DPI, which I still use. Although I might look to reduce it soon, as I use a light mouse and my desk has a full mousepad so I can throw my arm around. But when you're looking at setting your sensitivity, play around in the practice mode and see what works best for you. So, to summarise, after the first week, I like to just wander aimlessly around the map, getting lucky kills on people not paying attention, or I just get destroyed like in most games. It took me the first week to sort out my sensitivity, gain a tiny bit of game sense, and to realise wandering around the map will just get you killed, especially on defence. I mean, who knows what I was thinking in this clip. That being said, I was actually really enjoying the game, even if I was terrible. It's definitely a challenge to learn the basics, but it's very rewarding when you do, and nothing feels better than pulling off a great shot or outplaying the enemy with your abilities. This leads nicely into the second week. For this week and most of the third, I was trying to learn how to use Sova as I was making a video on him. I was starting to get kills more consistently. In the first week, one game I get 5 kills and the next I get 20, averaging about 13 kills a game. but it really just depended on how good the other team were. In the second week, my average kills rose to 18 per game, and it's actually stayed around that average since then. But you do have to remember kills aren't everything. If you're wondering, I had to record my own stats as none of the websites were up and running yet. But it didn't take that long as I only played about 80 games. This rise in kills was mainly down to my aim and crosshair placement becoming much better. There's nothing more satisfying than getting that perfect one tap as someone rounds a corner. As well as in-game practice, I started to use the aim trainer, either on the fast speed with armour on, or I'd spawn the bots and practice peeking round corners. I'd still keep the armour on though, as it means you have to go for headshots. I'd recommend doing this before you jump into the game, just so you know how some of the guns work, and how the recoil works, and it actually helped my aim a lot in the second week. I also started to get used to some of the maps, and the common spots people like to sit in, especially as I was in custom games, trying out Sober's bow. Really, in the second week, I just got used to the game's mechanics, but I was still struggling to control recoil, and I was spraying way too much. In the third week, I was beginning to feel a lot more comfortable in game. I wasn't nervous every time I had an engagement, and I was able to get a good few clutches. I learnt the appropriate times to peek, and how important positioning is, especially on defence. I had my best game ever, dropping 38 kills to 10 deaths, and I even got my first ace. Although, I was testing recording at a lower resolution that game, and I hadn't changed the settings correctly, so this is the footage from my first ace. I was so happy. From this, I learned do not change the base resolution, only the output resolution. Thankfully, I got another ace the next day at the start of week 4, which I recorded properly. I finished the Sova video midway through week 3, so I swapped over to playing Cypher. He's still my main now. Learning a few site setups and attacking strategies really helped my gameplay. His playstyle is more conservative, so you have longer to think about what you're doing, and your positioning is so important to get the most out of his abilities. This was actually really helping my over-aggressive nature, and I learnt being patient is just as important as aggression. I would really recommend to someone learning the game to use Cypher, as you have to think more about what you're doing, as his abilities don't help you be aggressive, meaning you can't get overconfident and overexpose yourself. Also, he has to purely rely on gun skill to get kills, so it tightens up that too. I spent some time in the third week looking over old gameplay, thinking of what mistakes I was making. Doing this really highlighted things like poor utility usage and just how bad my aim and crosshair placement was. Now, let's get on to the fourth and final week. I'll start with that ace, and to be honest, the aim in this clip is pretty terrible, and the other team weren't great, but it's still the first ace I recorded properly. Looking back, how I missed I only had 2 bullets is beyond me, although I now know your gun doesn't reload when you use Phoenix's ultimate. And then, I just shouldn't have reloaded here. And sadly, I can't count, as I heard the ace music and thought the round was over, and I definitely would have got a 6k if I was paying attention. Although I've definitely got better over these 4 weeks, it's sometimes hard to tell due to the random skill of your opponents. So I was excited when ranked was announced to see just how good I was. I was solo queuing for all my ranked games. So the first game wasn't great, the other team were just clearly better than us, and I really wasn't playing well. I was second on my team, but we lost 5-13. The next game was on split. We managed to get 3 attacking rounds, which is okay, and we brought it back to 11-10, but then we lost 3 in a row to lose my second placement game. And in the third game, you guessed it, lost again. I was top of the team again, but the other team were just better. Fourth game, same again. And the final game was a little bit closer, but again, we lost. So, drumroll please. My whole first month of practice led to the first rank of Iron 2. I suppose at least it wasn't Iron 1. Also, why is the ranking system backwards? Now don't worry, this video doesn't just end with I'm dreadful and I haven't got better at all, as I've continued to play ranked, and over the next 12 games, well a few were in week 5, but we won't tell anyone, I won 9, so my rank actually climbed pretty quickly up to Silver 2, which actually makes me feel a lot better about myself. Of course, by no means I'm saying I'm amazing, but I think for someone who's never played CSGO, this isn't a bad start. Of course, from week 1 to now, my aim has improved significantly, as would be expected just from the increase of muscle memory, and I'm feeling much more comfortable with my sensitivities and keybinds. I know my role in the team a lot better, and my defensive positioning is also good, although I'm still a little bit over aggressive. The thing I need to improve on the most is how and when I peek. Currently, I overpeak, and when I do it badly. I tend to face check everything, and due to the slowdown when you're shot, I die when I do. I also really struggle challenging someone who's holding an angle, although this is about crosshair placement as well as poor peeking technique. Of course, my aim isn't perfect, but it's improved significantly. Another thing to work on is transitioning between targets, as I tend to just full spray and hope. And I also need to learn sometimes in a fight it's necessary to stop firing and reset the crosshair. Let's compare a clip from my first ever game to my most recent one. My crosshair placement is clearly better and I'm panic spraying a lot less. The biggest thing I've taken from my month of playing Valorant is just how fun learning the game is. I think that's something people forget about when they're gaming these days. If you just play games for the competitive experience and to win, but don't have fun whilst you're doing it, is there any point of you really playing that game and spending time doing something that stresses you out and isn't enjoyable? Of course, winning is great, but I've had as much fun learning the game, and if you do lose to people better than you, just think about why they are better and try and implement that into your gameplay. There's so many plays I've had used against me and then I pull off in the next game. Hopefully this video has shown you that you can try out Valorant even if you haven't played CSGO, and that you can see improvement in your gameplay quickly. One thing I want to add is during these 4 weeks I was only playing between 2 and 3 hours a day. You don't have to be spending 8 hours a day playing to see improvements. It took me a little while to learn the different style of shooting mechanics, but I definitely recommend giving this game a go, especially if you're new to PC, as it will teach you how to aim with a mouse, and any shooter you go on to play will seem easy in comparison. If you want to carry on my Valorant journey with me, please subscribe, as I'll have more content out soon. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Thanks for watching!